say that you invented robots, artificial intelligence, and you designed them to be a certain type of way. And in your design, you wanted them to think a certain type of way and be good overall, and serve one another, and be friendly, and all this stuff. Okay? Say that was your original idea, but say that the robot over time started to think independently of you and started to do its own thing, and then eventually even became dangerous. Started to do things contrary, opposite of what you originally intended it for it to be and to do. So then, say you had, no control over it. Like, you can try to talk to it, you can try to get it to follow you, but ultimately it's its own decision to follow you. So you can reason with it, but it just doesn't want to listen. Like a rebellious child, let's say, doesn't want to listen, wants to do its own thing. It, quote unquote, found its own potential, so to speak, and it says, I want to do what I want to do. I don't want to do what you want me to do. But you know better, right? You created it to do good and all this because you knew that the other side was doom and gloom and destruction. But I'm painting a picture of God and humanity right now, but I'm putting it in a framework of, say, you are the creator, right, of robots and stuff like that, right? Because then if you put yourself in God's shoes, you can see how he deals with us on a daily basis and how patient he is with us, long suffering, and how he works with us, but how we can be like those so-called robots that don't want to obey and listen and this and that. We don't want to cooperate. And what do you do with something like that, right? Especially if it's doing destruction all around. Like, it's how do you call it? It's got like something wrong with it. You know how they say you got a chip on your shoulder? It's got like something missing in it, in its programming, so to speak, and it's like, yo, it's out of whack. What do you do with it, right? So, the Bible says that people reap curses for living the wrong life. That's one of the byproducts of doing the wrong thing. You reap what you sow. Curses is one of those things you reap when you live destructive life. When you're hurting other people, what goes around comes around. People call it karma, but it's actually a biblical principle. Now, set that aside, there's a whole lot more that comes with the picture. Restlessness and lack of peace, your conscience being violated. You feel on the inside all the symptoms of the sin, acting as chains and ropes and entanglement and bondage and yokes and curses. All of these things, you feel the symptoms, such as stress. This is a familiar word that people are familiarized with, stress, but it's actually a spiritual weight on your shoulders. It's burdens, right? And that's, kind of what Jesus was talking about in the Bible, where he said that his burden is light and his yoke is easy. Because he understood that living that other life, that it wasn't going to be that way, that the burden is heavy. Okay? And he who sins is a slave to sin. So he who continuously sins can't even stop, even if they wanted to. So Jesus came to set the captives free, and he holds the keys to your salvation. He holds the keys to your freedom, and it takes us going to him and being about business, being about it, standing on business, and just letting your yes be yes and your no be no, that you're here for freedom, you're not turning away. There's a degree of, being like a soldier, a warrior, that you have to have that, because the devil will give you reasons to turn away, give up, and all this, and you have to have this fight in you that says no. We're so good, humanity is so good at rebelling, right, for the most part, A lot of the things that an authority figure says, they do the opposite. Even from being a little kid, don't watch that. And as soon as you turn they start watching it. So it's one of those things, but we're rebelling against the wrong one. You see, God is the one that is for us. He's not against us. He means us well. And he knows the end from the beginning. He knows where there's danger, where there's chaos and destruction, where there's death at. And he just says, if you go in this path, you're going to meet a fate that I didn't have for you predestined. I wouldn't have you to take that road. I wouldn't have you to go down that road and hang out with those people. Why don't you do this? And people take that advice, that suggestion as, let me be free. Let me do whatever I want, You only live once and this and that. That's that language that Satan has created to get people to follow in his way. Because the devil, what he's really good at is he tickles the ears. He there's a tickling of the ears with hearing what you want to hear. Like if you're the one who's in control, it's an illusion that you're in control. Because how many people want to quit certain things, but they continue to do it? They're not in control. But the devil gives you the illusion that you're the one in control. Really, he's the one controlling that person. So that's how he gets them to continue cooperating with him. It's like you're in control of this whole ship, what you say goes. But God is just transparent right from the get-go. He tells you this is what it is. You either want to follow me or you don't. I respect your decision. Whatever you decide, I respect it. But I just want you to know this is what you're signing up for. When you want to be my disciple, when you want to be, my child. It's a decision that takes on weight in the sense that you have to stop conforming to the pattern of this world and be transformed by the renewing of your mind by following Jesus. You have to learn his ways. Learn his ways. That takes discipline and self-control. That takes a following him. That takes a denying of self and picking up your cross. That takes studying and showing yourself approved. So many people want to say the confession part of Jesus is Lord. But this is the thing, it's like reading the instruction manual and never assembling the whatever it is that the instruction manual has told you to do. Imagine that though. Imagine you buy something like a toy, let's say, and it's a toy that you have to put together in order for it to operate and work. And say you read one part of the instruction manual and say if you say this word, activate, then the toy will work. And say that's exactly what you did. As soon as you got it, you unwrapped it, you said activate. And say maybe the toy turned on, but it's disassembled and you can't use it. And so you leave it in the box and you kind of walk away because you think to yourself, this is going to be too hard to assemble, right? But the instruction manual is there to help you every step of the way. Now, a lot of people's Christian life is a lot like a disassembled life that has a confession going for it, to activate, audible command, where it's like, well, I called Jesus into my life, I believe that he died for me and he rose from the dead, and I asked the Holy Spirit, and so I'm a Christian now. And so what I'm saying is that there's a lifestyle to it, right? There's a lifestyle to it. How do you know who's who and what's what in life? Because a bank robber robs. That's how you know he's a bank robber. A jewel thief is a thief. You see the evidence, right? A mathematician, that he solves equations, and that's what he does, and that's how you know who's who and what's what. It's because they practice what it is that they do, what they believe in, what they built for. Everybody's profession and everybody's occupation is portrayed by their actions, their deeds on a daily basis, what they talk about, how they think, what they do. You get to look at them and say, oh, you're this, that's how you get to dictate who's who and what's what. So a Christian is one that you can tell that they are that. It's not so much by their confession. Just imagine somebody saying that they're one thing and doing everything that's contrary to what lines up with that. It doesn't line up. It's like in the streets they call it a wannabe. Like you wanna be, but you're not, right? And you can spot them a mile away when they want to be, but they're not. You can spot, and I'm saying that it's the same thing with God. Like when we have to, I believe that people have to cross over. They have to cross over, and they have to like present themselves before the Lord and say, "Here I am. Dress me up, give me identity. I'm here for service. I'm here to be known by you. I'm here to know you too. And I'm here, requesting that we start the mission. We start the lifestyle. We start this journey that you have for me. That it wasn't just a confession that you wanted out of me, that there was a life that you had in mind to give me to live out. I'm here for that. And I don't know how to do it, and I don't know what step one is, but here I am. That is the initiation to you assembling that toy, so to speak, that I was talking about, right? And now you're with the owner of the manual, and then God starts to lead you. Maybe he'll give you somebody like me, a mentor, to kind of lead you, and then you listen to that mentor. And then little by little, you're ushering in, and you're putting the little foot, the little leg of the toy together, and things are coming together. And that's how you assemble the lifestyle of looking like what God wanted you to look like, as opposed to just masquerading. Because the devil masquerades as an angel of light. He masquerades like if he's a saint. He masquerades. The devil does. Right? He's a great deceiver. And a lot of people are masquerading as a Christian, and they're not. And it's better to hear a rebuke than to be condemned later. It's better to be corrected now and say, hey, you're not being, you know it, and I know it, and everybody knows it. So like, get corrected now, rather than hear what you dread later when you stand before God. I just think it's a loving message. It's not a condemning message. It's a get right now. Get it right now while you have time and breath in your lungs. Because there's still time. But when time runs out, that's when you're going to want time, and you're not going to have time. And it happens every time. No, give me one more chance. That's it. Time's up. And then that's when it's like, why didn't I, all that. All right, guys. God bless.